Maya here. We're gonna do a real quick cooking is coping. I'm halfway through my prep. I'm halfway through my beer. We're gonna talk about sunken zucchini boats. So I'm gonna be chopping up some zucchini. I have halved these and now I have quartered them and I'm just gonna do a chop on them. I've already done the same to some yellow squash. I've done the same to some carrots. I've chopped up an onion and I've chopped up some garlic. You all have seen me chop onions and garlic before, so I thought I'd save you from that and go ahead and get some prep done before we hopped on. So we've got our little zucchini here. We're just gonna chop it in half and in quarters. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're gonna do a rough chop on it. Sunken zucchini boats came out of laziness. It is a skillet dish that I make that tastes like zucchini boats without all the work of hollowing out the boats. We are back. I'm making messes already. Womp, womp, womp. In this skillet here, this can be a one skillet dish, but I like to separate my meat and my veggies. That way I can make sure both of them are cooked adequately before I put them together. I have a little more than a pound of some ground venison. I know the last time I think I made venison as well. Oh well, we like venison around here. You can also use ground beef, you can use ground sausage, you could use ground turkey or ground pork. All that matters is how you season it. I'm gonna make these a little bit of an Italian style, so I'm gonna put some salt, some pepper, garlic powder, some onion powder, and some Italian seasoning in here. So we're gonna let this cook up a little bit. And then over here in my other skillet, I'm gonna get some olive oil working. To that olive oil, I'm gonna add us some chopped onions, the carrots, the zucchini. The yellow squash is back here too. That bowl is gonna end up making me drop something, I'm sure. And then we've got some chopped garlic. Alrighty, our oil is hot. You can hear that sizzle. We're gonna drop our onions in first, coat them with the oil. You wanna do the vegetables that take longer to cook first. So the onions and the carrots take longer to cook. Don't ever throw your garlic in first thing, because it will burn before you get everything else cooked. Give this a little stir around here. Isn't my little spurtle cute? It's like a spoon and a ladle and all at once. Super cute. Pretty handy too, especially for going around and scraping the sides of the pan. Okie doke. So my onions are getting a little translucent. That means that you can see through them a little bit more. They're not as light. My carrots are not softening up yet, but that's okay, they will, especially when I get more moisture in here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and throw in this yellow squash. It's about to get really crowded in the kiddie pool, but that's okay, because it's going to be yummy. And we're gonna go ahead and throw in our zucchini. These squash and zucchini are gonna put off a lot of moisture, but just keep stirring them and cooking them down. Then it'll evaporate and it'll make your carrots get soft. Woo, everything's spinning. And that's not the beer talking. Now you want to hold off on putting in any seasoning yet. What happens if I put salt in here right away is that all the moisture that's going to come out of these is going to come out of it really quick. And so we want to wait, because salt pulls the moisture out. So we're going to wait until we feel like we've got a little bit of a saute on these and they start to soften on their own before we help them along with the salt. I give my meat over here a stir. It's gonna take a little while to get this meat cooked down. I added salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning to this. And I will be adding the exact same seasoning. Whoops! To our veggie blend. You want to keep your seasonings the same throughout and season as you go so that every layer of food is seasoned and tasty and yummy. Oh hey, Alana, get a close-up of these veggies. Do you see how the squash and the zucchini are starting to get a little smushy? That's what we want. So now it's time we can go ahead and add in some seasonings. We're going to still let this cook down some because we know our carrots aren't going to be smushy yet. But we're going to go ahead and add in some salt to help it along. And some pepper. Whoop! Maybe a little too much pepper, but that's all right.
Mommy.
It's all right. You'll eat it. You always do. Onion powder. I know I put onion in there, but I always like to add a little extra. Yes, I know I've told you before that my husband does not like onion, but sometimes you just can't function without onion, so we have to live through it. I added garlic too, but I will add a little bit more garlic flavor to that with some garlic powder. And then we just have some Italian seasoning. I'm going to add maybe a tablespoon or so of that. Give this a nice little zhuzh around to get everything coated and cooking. And you can smell that basil and oregano. Whoop, that carrot went way over there. You have to wait, carrot. We're going to get together with the meat later. So we're cooking down nicely here, and our meat is cooking up nicely here. Now typically venison is pretty lean, but this one actually looks like it's got a little fat in it, so I will drain this before I add it into the veggies. One more thing I'm going to add to the veggies before it's all said and done is this can of petite diced tomatoes. If I had fire roasted, I could use those as well. So I drained my tomatoes, and I did that simply because, like I told you earlier, those zucchini and squash let off a lot of water on their own, and I just didn't want this to be too soupy. And I don't know if any of you out there caught me, but I caught myself. I had forgotten to add the chopped fresh garlic, so I added that in as well. So we're gonna let this cook for just a little bit so everything can get happy and get all those flavors going together. And we're gonna drain this meat, and we're gonna come back and put them all together and show you how we finish this. So we're adding our drained venison and throwing it all over the stove into our veggies. Everything's still rocking and rolling. We're looking pretty good. Alana says it smells awesome and she can't wait to eat it. So the way you would make this if you were actually going to make zucchini boats is you would scoop out the inside of the zucchinis, chop that up, add it into the skillet, and saute up everything just like I did. And then you would add that mixture back into those hollowed out boats, cover the whole shebang with cheese, and stick it in the oven and bake it until your zucchini got tender. That takes a long time. This is quicker. This is easier, and it tastes exactly the same. So I'm going with quick, easy, and yummy. We're gonna cover this now with cheese. The cool thing about this is you can add any kind of cheese you want. This is actually just bits and pieces of what we had left over. So I've got some mozzarella and some cheddar in there from a casserole I made earlier this week. And then I didn't feel like that was enough, so down here on the bottom we've got some Colby Jack. So as I sprinkle it on, I'm just gonna mix it together so that all the different flavors get over top of the whole thing. Did you hear Snoopy shaking in the background? Snoopy loves, that's our doggie. She wants to know when dinner is. She loves when I cook at home. So we're gonna put all this yummy cheese on top. Again, this is cheese I bought in a block and made Alana grate because we don't wanna buy it pre-shredded because that has preservatives in it to keep it from caking. And it tastes better this way, and it's better for us. Now I'm gonna turn this down to low and let it keep doing a little bubble. And I'm gonna put the lid on top of it and let it get a nice pretty cheese melt on it. Here we go, we're all finished. Look at that gorgeous cheese melt on there. If you wanted to pop this under the broiler for a few minutes and get brown on that cheese melt, you could. But I think I'm just gonna leave it today. Oh, sorry, I walked away. I think I'm just gonna leave it today. Now, if you're extra like me and you have parsley in your fridge, you could chop some up and garnish it with that, because who doesn't need a little more green on top? It's our salad on top. And that is sunken zucchini boats. and I'll see you next time on Cooking is Coping.